Well, child psychiatrist Dr. Minnie Jericho is here now with how parents can support their child living with a chronic illness. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I think there's a lot of families that can get their head around this, that are in this situation.
Yes.
So what is it like for a family when you have a child that has some kind of illness that requires this continual management?
Well, I mean, I think the word that comes to mind is stressful, especially initially.
Yes.
Right? So it can be really shocking. Nothing is as concerning as knowing that our child has an illness. But when our child has an illness that's going to require long-term management, it takes it to a whole other level. And it does require different skills and strategies from us as parents.
From us as parents. Okay, well, right. Well, let's get to it then. So as a parent, you don't want to let your anxiety come into play.
That's right. So once again, what could be more normal than having high anxiety about our child's health and well-being?
Right, of course we want our kids to be healthy and happy. Yeah.
Absolutely. But when we approach each and every conversation about illness with our child from a place of high anxiety and stress, we're really missing the boat. Because what we want them to do is assume responsibility for the care of their health and well-being, right?
Right.
What we don't want them to do is manage their health just for the purposes of keeping us calm.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you want them to take ownership of it.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's less about guilt, less about anxiety, and more about strategy and planning and being realistic over time.
And kids can do so much more than we think they can. I mean, I've done stories with little kids with type 1 diabetes that are managing their insulin, and they're just like 6 or 7. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable what our kids are sometimes able to do.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But actually, that does lead us into the second one, isn't it? Which is that the child could change, and you know that the illness is something that they have to deal with. So it's not about the illness, it's about the child and what they can handle.
That's it. So we have to always accommodate our parenting to our child's developmental age and stage.
Okay.
And this is ever more true when we're asking them to take on responsibility for care of an illness. So even though we know something is critically important, for that 8-year-old or even for that 12-year-old or 14-year-old, that may not be top of mind for them.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're not responsible children. It just means that something else is going on for them that may seem more relevant. And we also have to bear in mind that children's brains are developing too, right? So they don't have the same strengths that we may have as adults. Planning, imagining,
being able to see the
able to
consequences.
anticipate consequences.
Right.
They just might not be there yet from a developmental perspective. Doesn't mean they don't care. They just aren't there. So we need strategies and skills to support them for where they're at.
Right.
Not simply to match our level of concern.
Right.
Right.
But you can see it too as a parent, you know, sending your child with even allergies, you know, off to school. Like, have they got their EpiPen? Do they know how to handle it? Are there responsible adults that could help that child? You really have to plan ahead and strategize.
You really, really do. And you need to partner with your child in this strategy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, here's something that happens, and I've faced this in my house as well. You've just got it all sorted out. Everybody's on the program. Everybody knows what to do.
Right.
And then something changes.
Yeah.
So whether it's the illness that's changing or the child is changing and their motivation or whatever is required is changing.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
It really is a moving target.
Yes.
And you have to anticipate that there will always be ups and downs.
Okay.
Right? So it's not a straight line from, you know, the beginning where parents are maybe assuming a lot of responsibility and control all the way directly up to the young person having got it entirely.
Right.
There are ups and downs along the way. What we're worried about is the trajectory. We want it going in the right direction, but be prepared for things to change.
Okay.
And don't take that on as a failure.
Okay,
right?
yes.
So especially during the teenage years, this is a classic time, right, where kids are developing their own identities, rebellion is normal, and risk-taking is normal too.
Right,
So there could be some times where this is reflected in how they're caring for their illness.
Right, yes.
Right? And so go in prepared, have those conversations. That way they're not these reactive, angry, intense conversations that we want to avoid.
Yes.
But they're planful, they're strategic. And they also allow us to role model compassion and self-compassion to our kids, which is so important when you're living with an illness. Right?
Absolutely. Well, and that's something we can all do, right, is model healthy behavior for our kids as parents.
Absolutely.
Monique, thank you so much for being here.
My
Great
pleasure.
information, as always.